the hard part, appearing comfortable.
I'm pretty comfortable anywhere I go. That's my main goal in life.
I think you've done well in your history to ensure that quality.
Well, I don't know about that, but there you go.
Yeah, well, you're pretty trained, well-versed. We just roll right into it, Kevin. There's no intro here.
All
We're
right.
already in. You got to be on at all times.
All right.
That's it. So, guys, thanks for tuning into this one time today. My guest is a very good friend of mine, Mr. Kevin Mohatt.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
Well, it's good to be alive. I was dead, so I'm alive now. That's a good thing. You want to start there? Okay.
Yeah, we have to get into that. Just do that, man. It's the juiciness, I guess. Let's do it. So, you suffered a widowmaker heart attack.
Full on.
Survival rate is?
5%.
5%. All right.
Yep.
So paint the day.
All right. Well, let me go back a little bit, and then I'll fill it in.
And then just make sure we're like right here.
Okay.
You can bring it to you.
Yeah. Originally, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, so I'll start there.
All right.
I'm writing a book, so there you go.
Okay.
I started off in Omaha, Nebraska. I was born in Council Bluffs, Iowa. I moved to Omaha, Nebraska. Was raised there. I was adopted by my father, and my mom was there, but both my brother and I were adopted. And so I was raised in Omaha, went to a Catholic grade school, played hockey, swam, and did all that.
So that's where the love started.
Yeah, I played hockey growing up as a very young hockey player, and boxed when I was a little kid. My dad was a Marine boxer, so we always grew up boxing and just doing that kind of stuff. I moved out here in 1982. I played my last year of hockey and left Omaha. In high school, I managed the ice skating rinks and drove the Zamboni, and so hockey was life. But anyway, I moved out here to work on a cotton farm.
Okay.
And that cotton farm is on Ray Road in Higley now. It is no longer a cotton farm.
Yeah, I'm looking there. There's the
Joe's
air guitar,
Farm Grill.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, right. So I moved out here in 82, August 15th, 1982. I left a job in Omaha where the average temperature was about 35 degrees in an ice skating rink, and I ended up in the cotton field August 15th, 1982.
Were you just looking around? I was like, what did I just do?
Yeah, my dad says, you'll be back. And I said, no, I won't be. Anyway, I moved here, and that was my aunt and uncle's cotton farm. And now it's Agritopia and Joe's Farm Grill and all that. Joe's my first cousin.
Oh, okay.
So Joe's mother, who's passed away, and my mother, who's gone, they were sisters from Iowa. And so there's the connection in the family. So fast forward. Here I was, Valentine's Day this year, 2022. And I had just gotten over COVID and all that nonsense. I got sick with it first part of January, like first week. I knew I had it because I had all the symptoms. Couldn't get a test.
Wow.
You remember you couldn't get a test? It's just like everybody had COVID, but you had to like wait in a 4-hour line to go get a test and all that crap. I'm like, no. So I just wrote it out. Went to the doctor after I was feeling better. She said, yeah, you had COVID, because she did an antibody test on me. So she said, go be one with yourself and have a blast. I'm like, all right. So I had been playing hockey already. I like to go during the day and just pick up hockey with guys, and most of them are half my age.
Yeah.
And I'll be 60 this year.
Looking good. Right?
I feel good, yeah. And so I like to go skate with the young guys, and I chirp all the time, like, you getting tired and all that kind of stuff,
Keeping up with the old man.
Right. And I do okay. But this time I just all of a sudden got gassed. I mean, like, gas.
So you on the rink, you felt it. You're like, something's not.
Yeah, and I don't get tired.
Yeah.
This is me,
Yeah, you're always on. Every time I see you.
Yeah, I've been fighting all my life. I have 5th degree black belt. I mean, I'll tell you, I just don't get physically tired. And all of a sudden I went, what? And I just thought it was COVID,
Yeah.
I just figured it's got to be this COVID crap, because it kind of lingered.
It does.
Yeah, and so here I was the chirper. Now I was the chirpy, because I got to go, guys. I'm tired. Yeah, that was kind of brutal. But so I was sitting in the locker room all by myself, and I was staring at my skates like, please come off my feet. I was really, really going, what is this? I'd never been that tired. I mean, I'd been that tired, but not like that.
Not out of your output that you put out there.
Yeah, I was like, I barely was skating, and I'm just gassed. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought, go home. And that's in my head now, just go home. And I just took my stuff off, shoved it in my hockey bag, loaded it in my car, and I live, this is on Greenfield, so I live about 2.5 miles. 1.5 mile that way and 2 miles to the east, and they're at my house. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, just go home and take a shower and go take a nap. And I pulled up to Higley in Warner, which is in Gilbert, and I was heading east. At the stoplight, I saw it turning orange.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, okay, this is what I remember.
Okay, get that mic. Put it between me and you. No, put it between me and you. No.
Are you getting feedback?
No, because we need to make sure we get this.
Okay.
Yeah, this is intense. So
all right.
Put it here.
Right here?
Because you're staring at me.
Okay. Like that?
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
So now everybody will appreciate it now.
Okay, there you go. That's better. All right. So back up, I was on my way home.
Yeah.
And I was pulling up to Higley and Warner, heading east. And I just remember the light was turning orange. And the last memory that I have was that of a 1972 Ford pickup tailgate. It must have been a custom because it was brown and yellow.
Yeah.
And the silver, and then that was it.
Oh, so the guy you were sitting behind.
Yeah, I was waiting to go through now there's a red light, and I died. I died right there in my car. Yeah, deader than hell. I don't know how my car got put in park, but I was.
Okay, so we're gonna go back to that. So that's your last memory before it happens. What's the next thing you see when you come to?
When I'm coming to, that's really faint. The first, my wife and I talked about it. The first memory I had was having a tube in me, mm-hmm. and my wife's telling me that I had a widowmaker. And I'm like, I just remember that.
So the procedure's done, your life is saved,
and
now you're back, and
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here now.
So yeah. What's the time frame on that, do you think?
I was dead 13 minutes.
Oh, shit.
Completely dead, 13 minutes.
So you say you're talking to your wife now. So obviously
I'm in the hospital now.
This is hours.
Yeah, this is after the hospital. So basically, in my car, I expired. And the first in
13 minutes. Dude, I've been telling people like 7 minutes. No, 13 minutes.
I've been gone 13 minutes, yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah. Dude. Well, for one, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here.
Right.
We're going to talk about the boys that saved you. But
sure.
So your wife's there with you.
So anyway, this is at the hospital. Mm-hmm. And so I remember only briefly waking up with a tube. And if you've ever had one, I don't know if you have. It's really like claustrophobic quickly. And she told me what had happened. And then I went back to sleep. Well, apparently she said, put him back out. I said, oh, you wanted to see it. So she knocked me silly, So anyway, she put me back out.
Yeah.
So that's what that was.
You need the recovery. You need the rest. So good on her. But
yeah.
Shoot. So you remember that. So
that was my first memory in the hospital.
Yes.
But it's crazy. They did what we know from the police report is right at about 1,100 plus, give or take, compressions on me.
Wow.
On my chest.
And so my first question would be: is there a standard, or they just do it until somebody peels them off and it says, "Hey, it's
that's what the standard is." You don't recover from chest compressions generally.
Yeah.
Not at least not with my widowmaker heart attack.
Yeah.
You can assist the heart to beat, but with my widowmaker, what happened? We found out later through several other people. I found out everybody I talked to looked at me like, "Dude, I never met you before, man." So.
Oh, whoa! Like you came.
Nobody's ever met me before. Everybody I talked to, every cardiologist, every doctor. I'm going to a neurologist. Guarantee you, he's never met me before either.
So you're not. So I'm going like on this crazy transcendent type. Like you came back a different person. No, they mean they've never seen somebody that went through what you went through and would be sitting in their office
talking to them
and talking to them.
Nobody's lived that long to talk to them, to tell them about it, to explain what happened prior and after. None of them.
Whoa.
Yeah, everybody I've talked to, I'm completely unique.
So you're almost like a case study.
I have been. I've actually been interviewed. Obviously, this is kind of fun, but I'm in.
Don't put me on the level of neurologist.
Well, I got a call from Mayo.
Dude.
Yeah, I'm on Mayo's list now. They did a study they put me on their study. They asked me this is a crazy thing, but I'll tell you about that as we progress.
Yeah.
I don't want to digress too much, but anyway, that day was an amazing thing. I wasn't supposed to live. There was no way, because from this COVID, I had two, what I find out were, in the words of my cardiologist, he pulled 2 complete gummy worms out of my artery, what's called the LAD artery, which is what runs the major ventricle, the left side, the big one.
The big one, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that does the big push with all your blood and the oxygenation and all that.
Because it comes in through the atrial on the right,
and it goes out the ventricle, that big left ventricle, and that, what happens is with that, I'm not an expert on it, but I do know that when that ventricle contracts, they measure how much blood comes out. Mm-hmm. All right. And that's called your ejection fraction.
Okay.
That's an important number because I've broken the rules on ejection fraction because my heart was dead for 13 minutes.
Yes.
It was getting, the only oxygen that was getting was what I had done at the ice rink. So by oxygenating my body like I do, there was still oxygen in my body that they were able to pump through by doing compressions.
Oh, wow.
Get it?
Yes.
I was very oxygenated. When I'm playing hockey, you get very oxygenated. Yeah. It's like go run 5 miles. You're going to be very cardiovascularly
sucking it in.
All that oxygen's in your blood. It's in your muscles. That oxygen's working, right? So all of a sudden I die. Well, there's still oxygen in there.
Yeah.
It just has to be moved through.
Yeah.
And so those compressions is what they were able to move through my body. And so after the fact, when he did what they did is they pulled these gummy bears out of this, the best I can call it, out of these 2 arteries that basically they were just sucked in there.
Are they sitting in like ammonia or?
Oh man, I wanted to see it. I'm like, you got them? He's just like, shelf? No, those go. But anyway,
they need to study those.
Well, what they did was they go in there and they have this grabber thing and they grab it and they pull it out and at the same time they shove a stent in there.
Gotcha. Oh, the old.
Kind of, yeah.
Indiana Jones.
It's a weird thing. Is it reaches through, grabs it, when it sticks it in there. So I have 2 of them in me now.
Okay.
And it keeps those arteries open, and they put me on medicine and stuff. So they measure your ejection fraction, and what that is the percentage of your total blood, like 5 liters, I guess.
Yes.
All right. So the percentage of that amount every time your ventricle squishes or beats, what's the amount going out?
Gotcha.
So there's a percentage. At the time, I was deemed to be right around 28-30 percentage of my heart was working.
Uh-huh.
That's not a lot.
No.
That means at any time it drops below that, my heart just quits.
Yeah.
So they had me on medicines to lower my blood pressure, which was really, really low. And I had to wear this silly vest in case it did go and it was going to shock me. I had to wear that for a while. But I went back to the doctor in May, and my ejection fraction is now up to a minimum of 48.
Okay.
I'm back playing hockey.
Whoa.
I
saw those photos, man.
I was back playing hockey the other day,
It's like a wild man.
Yeah, the only thing that's bothering me is my hip. And they did that when they yanked me out of the car. They jacked my hip, man.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, I'm sure what they were doing was not good, but...
Well, and you're dead. You're limp. You're a big.
I'm a
man,
big guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I'm really thankful for those. So I wanted to make sure I give a big shout out to.
Yeah, let's talk about the crew because you've definitely spent some time with them since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a really cool thing. I spent years training law enforcement, and I'm really endeared to the teams and what they do. And most people don't understand what kind of sacrifice they do. And
Immense.
Yeah, their perseverance is the one thing. I used to teach officers in general, military, some of them, just how to survive the fight. When you survive a fight, it is because you decide, I'm going to survive this fight.
Yeah.
You just decide it.
Yeah.
No matter what happens to you now, you're going to survive the fight. So likely you're going to win it if you just make that decision. But if anytime you decide, I'm not going to win this fight, you're not.
Sealed, yeah.
Yeah, you sealed your fate. So, I taught that for officer survival for years. Don't give up. Whatever you do, just put something in your head and don't give up, right?
Yeah.
Like your kid or your whatever it is, just make it happen. And so here I am. I'm dead in my car for 2 complete light rotations.
Cycles, yeah.
Right? And I was laughing. I'm like, well, great. I'm glad I wasn't in New York, because they'd probably say, hey, get out of the way, you son of a bitch. Yeah.
How dare you die on my time?
Yeah, they'd have had me towed out of there, Instead, Gilbert. So apparently people care enough to listen to well, maybe something's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm not just on my cell phone, but
yeah, because that's what somebody would think, right? We'd come out here and be like, what's up, asshole? Like,
that's right.
You're
so
like,
apparently somebody did kind of go,
and then
hey,
they're like,
what's
oh,
up?
this guy just passed out drunk.
Yeah.
Like, no.
So
wow.
they apparently looked at me. I don't know how my car got in park.
Yeah.
I have my suspicions, but because I wouldn't have put my car in park at an intersection for any reason that I could possibly think of or even remotely remember. But anyway, a gentleman, I won't name him because I don't think he wants to be named.
Yeah.
Checked on me, and he saw that it looked like I was having a seizure, he said, but I was just slumped over, and he assumed that I had a seizure. In fact, I was actually dead.
Yeah.
And a woman behind him got out, and he was calling 911, telling the 911 operator that he's in the intersection and there's a motorist. So, and then another lady, they pulled me out, and then the lady started doing compressions on me. And that was, she said she did like 60 to 100. She lost count.
Yeah.
And then Officer Delecki, she showed up, and she did 400 on me. And then Officer Lieben showed up, and he did 600 on me.
Wow.
Yeah. And then by this time, what's ironic, it's crazy because I'm at the intersection of Higley and Warner, 1,000 feet away, maybe 1,000, about 1,000 is a fire department. And they're right there.
That's right.
Yeah. So through all the EMS system, they were the first responders, the police were. She was in the neighborhood doing a report or something. When I talked with her, she said, yeah, I was just in the neighborhood, so I just heard, motorists down or something, and she just rolled, and then she realized, oh my God. Well, that was one of the things that I think might have happened recently in Gilbert, because I insisted to meet the police officers and also Station 6.
Yeah.
Station 6 was there. Sean Bowers and his team
Nice.
were all there, and it was a pretty amazing thing because what they did actually is the only reason why I'm here.
Yeah.
There's no other reason. Sure enough, but wow.
Yeah. For those that want to, take it to that spiritual level, in the sense, these folks were guided.
Well, I can tell you, I have no doubt about that.
Yes.
It's the uncanny things that have occurred.
Yes.
I'm a realist. Mm-hmm. I look at things rather logically.
Yes.
That's just me.
Yeah.
And, since this has happened, I've done my own journey on it. I wanted to kind of find out a little bit about what I had gone through.
Yes.
And what I'm still going through a little bit. What is that? What is that in my head that's happening and all that? Because it's like, well, is it being gone for so long? Is that a brain issue, or is it just what I saw?
would think, you were
Right.
without Well, I guess you were without breathing yourself, but since they were doing compressions,
I wasn't breathing for 13 minutes.
Yeah, but you were getting that oxygenated blood.
A little bit,
So it's like, at what point in time, because you've always heard that, like, oh, somebody was without oxygen for X amount of minutes, and now they're just brain dead. Right? But look at you, man.
I'm okay, I can tell you. No, but the funny part for me is I am so healthy.
Yeah.
I'm intensely healthy.
Yeah.
Before this happened, my blood pressure was never below 100. It was always 160, 170. That number, resting heart rate, I can get it down to 35 if I try.
Because you're trained, man.
Yeah, but normally it's 45.
Yeah.
Right? And it is right now. And after this, my blood pressure is still 90 over 60 and 45. So my pipes are just like really, really good.
It's a testament to just the healthy and vigorous lifestyle that you had before that. So you...
Absolutely.
Nothing's ever going to prepare you for moments like this, you know, where it's like, oh yeah, this, if you do this, you'll survive this. No, but you're hedging your bets and you're reinforcing that you can give yourself the best odds, which you obviously did.
Right. And that also that's been my lifestyle. I'm like that in everything. I just really feel like do the extra work.
Yeah. Weren't you like a state or national karate champion in like the late 80s?
Oh, you would talk about that too. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I have a 5th degree black belt in Taekwondo. And I also studied several other martial arts at the time, but I had a professional school in Chandler, out on Chandler Boulevard, Kyrene Road.
Yeah, isn't there one still there?
Mm-hmm. Well, they moved it, and I'm not so sure if it's still open. I think the pandemic might have harmed an awful lot of the gyms and the good professional people out there. You know, so it's a hard thing to make it. You know, I was in it for a living, and but it was a wonderful thing. But yes, I earned a 5th degree black belt in the American Taekwondo Association, and I retired out of that, and right at around 2001, 2-ish or so. And I've been in real estate ever since then. So that's what I do now. I sell real estate, and I coach agents and mentor seasoned agents as well as new ones on different things to do in real estate rather than the traditional hard sell stuff. So, but my martial arts career was a pretty substantial career.
Yeah, I've seen some of the photos that you've shared, and here you are sitting with trophies and plaques.
Yeah, that was funny. That was there was a photo of me. I had been through, our organization had a world championship every year and a grand national every year, and the world championship, people from all over the world. And I fought in let's see.
How many countries?
10. Well, I fought in 10 world championships, and I'm going back in years now. I'm getting older. I would say 12 to 14 grand nationals.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a lot of fighting.
Yeah, what got you into that?
You know,
you were already fighting on the hockey rink.
It's kind of a progressive thing. I think I found myself in martial arts. I grew up boxing, and I loved boxing, and never real formal, like the Golden Gloves or anything like that. When I was young, we were just too poor for that. But I grew up playing hockey, and I was a big kid. And my dad was very stern in the fact that he was a Marine boxer, and he specifically, we were in the northern part of Omaha, Nebraska, and son, the world's not going to treat you nice if you're a weak man. So he taught you that, and you know, he taught us obviously the importance of defending yourself, but the importance of having respect for others. And so my dad was good that way. You know, he was a strong man, and he didn't tolerate any shenanigans. Yeah. And I guess I don't either. You know? Yeah. I guess I don't.
Well, why? You know, it's you know, just that weakness that people can maybe just fall prey to, and you know, try to just take advantage of that instead of, you know, doing your best again to reinforce the odds in your favor.
Yeah, and I think you know, this tickles a little bit more on my personality, is that I'm a guardian personality. I'm just, by my very nature, I'm a guardian. I do a lot of things that teach and lead others.
Yeah.
That's what guardians do. They teach, they lead, they drive people, and I've always done that naturally. I guess I was able to take a piece of advice that was given to me early on in a very early age and use it forever, was to, if you learn, teach, you will do. Mm-hmm. And I've always maintained that. I learned it years ago. I've been playing music for 52 years now, almost 53. And she was one of my initial music teachers that taught me, if you learn something, teach it right away.
Yeah.
And then you will do it.
And you'll do it better, too.
You do it better.
When you do something and you're able to perform, it's just like, well, I just do it. I just execute. But when you have to go through the step-by-step process to convince, or not convince, but allow another person to learn exactly what you're doing, you have to know each and every step. Right. So it makes you better at what you've already learned because you're having to teach somebody else.
That's exactly right.
You have to know it to such a degree.
I teach mastery. And that's one of the things, that's one of the hubs, not a hub, but it's one of the spokes of mastery. And mastery is something that I feel like in martial arts, I didn't master it, but I mastered the concept of what I think it meant to become a master. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I didn't have enough physical energy to continue the physical drive to be that physical master in the martial art that I needed to be. I needed to be a more physical person, obviously, because you can't teach it by showing them on the book and say, oh, yeah, it's technique number 101, page 8. There you go. No, that's not, come here. That's how it is.
Until Elon says, now download that. Okay, there we go.
Right. So then them days, it was like, come over here, I'll show you what I mean. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I got older, they got younger, and I got tired of healing. And so there you go.
It makes sense.
It does. But all my life I've been fighting. And I was listening to Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
He was an amazing man.
Yeah, people don't think that because, of his young history and, his history when he was young and that he was such a savage fighter. But you listen to him now.
Savage.
He's well read.
Yes, he is.
When it comes to just
he's well read of warriors. He understands warriors, and this is one of the things that when you're talking to me, if you talk to me about a warrior, I'll talk to you about warriors, and we'll talk about what they are and what they do and how they are very different than what most people think warriors are. Mm-hmm. They do not understand. If most people do not grab, there's a doubtful. He's funny. Most people do not grab what a warrior really truly means and how important it is that we raise warriors.
Yes. Yeah, it's very important because people think, oh, you want to raise a warrior, you want to raise somebody that's violent and this and that. It's like,
I want a very violent person.
But that chooses
to be very peaceful.
Because you're not, what is it? Jordan Peterson has a great quote.
Jordan Peterson is his quote. Yeah, I follow him regularly. He's a wonderful person. He basically says it this way. It is better to raise a warrior who can work in a garden than raise a gardener who has to work in a war.
Who has to be in a war, exactly.
So in that, I've always been that person. So I've also understood, and it's a scary look if you really understand it and you know it, that Mike Tyson, I was listening to a kind of an interview he had the other day, and it was powerful because he said he knows what he can do. He knows what he was feeling when he said, I was in that ring to kill that person.
I get goosebumps thinking about it because it's like you have to take yourself to that degree. So that's the thing. It's like you can be scared of your potential. Here's the thing. If you're not scared of your potential, you'll fall prey to it.
You will probably. That's a great advice because it's a fact.
Because next thing you know, it takes over you.
Yes, it is.
So you have to be able to battle that inner, I don't want to say demon, but just that urge. Because the quote from Jordan Peterson was something along the lines of, you can't be nice if you're not dangerous. Because if you're not dangerous but you're nice, you're only nice because you can't be dangerous. Right. And if you had the potential to get a weapon, now you become dangerous, and yet you don't have the skills.
Right. I've always felt that it's crazy we're having this conversation because I was just having it with another person that I've been talking with that's suffering. I think he's suffering in his life. He's less of a person than he used to be, and he's having a hard time figuring that out.
Yeah, and most of us can relate to that.
Yeah, and I was telling him I can relate, man.
Yes.
Quite frankly, I feel your pain. Yes. I understand it. And that's a big part of what I try to coach people to understand is that I don't care what business you're in, whether you're a parent or not. If you are, by your very wiring, destined to be a leader, and be a leader is a very, it's a kind of a bandied about concept, what leadership truly is.
Yeah.
And I have defined leadership in my own way, but I've always had a pretty good concept of what leadership looked like. And I can spot when people are leading by saying, hey, follow me, do what I do. Look at my fancy schmancy self. This is what you want to be. See the fancy schmancy self that I am? You want to be just like me, don't you? Don't you? Don't you? Don't you? And the next thing you know, everybody's got a little following and they think they're a leader.
Yeah.
In reality, they're not. There are a few frogs on a lily pad, but there's a big world out there and they're not leading anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. So in leadership, it needs to be from a sense of high levels of empathy as well as viciousness. Because if you are only leading through empathetic response, everybody's pain in the ass is going to be your method of leadership. You see?
Yeah.
So if I'm leading strictly and only through the premise of coercion, right? Being better than you, forcing you to do things. Maybe that boss you have that's just coercive, nothing good about it. They're just lost on their own. And without you, they'd really be lost, but they don't care. They're still telling you that.
Yeah.
That's their form of leadership, which is coercion and putting somebody down condescending wise and things like that. That's not leadership. That's a weak person, right?
Yes.
We understand that. So that's a person trying to use what I would consider the violent side of them. But they're not doing it with a sense of empathy, meaning I'm helping us here. Here's what we're going to do is a sense of outward leadership. We're going to do this because it's all for the better. Or if I see the group is doing so well, I want to step away from the group and encourage them to be themselves. So that definition I learned when I was irrigating cotton.
Down here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to train a lot of different military people. I've had the opportunity to be paid by the military and the government.
Yeah.
So I've had the unique opportunity to see that side of leadership and how they do it and what they are. I've had 1- and 2-star generals in my employ back and forth in negotiating with people that are very high supposedly on leadership, and they're still learning from me because I would sign each of my letters in thankful, I'd be thankful. That's how we did it in those days. You'd write a physical letter and you mail it, right?
Yeah. And now if somebody does that, it means so much more, though. No, it does. It does.
Telling you, I never lost that art. But anyway, I would always sign it with LIASB. LIASB, the initials in capital. And I would just leave it out there. And eventually I'd get somebody say, what is this LIASB? I go, oh, you mean leadership is a sheep's butt? And they look at me and they go, okay, I'm into that. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
And years and years and years ago in Gilbert, most people don't know this or even remember it, the shepherds would bring thousands, I'm talking tens of thousands of sheep down to the valley for the winter. And they would pen them up in the wintertime down here over the alfalfa fields and let them graze on the alfalfa and stuff. But tens of thousands of sheep would walk down the road to get to the pasture. So they bring them out of the mountains in trucks, dump them out, and then just herd them straight down Ray Road. Thousands and thousands and thousands of sheep walking down Ray Road. So here I am from Nebraska. My last job was driving a Zamboni machine that cleans the ice. all of a sudden I look over and it's the middle of February, really cold out. And I'm sitting in an irrigation ditch with a piece of broken karate boards, warming myself until he comes out to give me my job for the day.
Yeah.
You know, and I look up and there's sheep walking down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Like thousands of sheep walking down the street, but not a person around. Not a human being.
Huh.
I know. I was going, Thousands of sheep are walking by, not a single person, not a car, not a truck, not nothing. And I did not know what to do. I was like, do I go shut the gate? What is it? You know? And I looked down Ray Road as far as I could see. It was barely sunrise, just bobbing heads of sheep. As far as I could see.
Yeah.
A big cloud of dust. And I'm like, what is this? And next thing you know, here comes the end of the sheep. Two fellows from south of the border carrying a McDonald's bag and a milk jug of water, just talking to each other, walking behind these sheep. How do the sheep know where to go?
I don't know. I would say maybe it's not their first time making that walk.
Maybe not. And what do those two people look at all day long when they're leading those sheep?
A sheep's butt.
Precisely. What do they walk in all day long? What comes out of that sheep's butt?
Walking sheep shit.
Yeah. So if you're a leader and you're not walking in sheep shit, you're not much of a leader.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
That's how that goes.
Yeah.
And I told every one of those military officers, so get your shit in the sheep ship and get going.
Yeah.
Because that's how it is. The leaders understand it's not pretty. It's not glamorous. Mm-hmm. There is no sense of accomplishment unless you can only find it in your own self, because they're not going to come up and say, you did it wonderful. They're going to say, and if appropriately so, we did it good.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, then when they say, we did it good, you know that you as a leader accomplished your task. If you have to stand in front of the group and point to them and say, we did it, didn't we? Mm-hmm. You didn't lead.
Yeah. Yeah, you're coercing that reaction out of them.
You did not lead. You simply were bringing attention to your ideas. But when they, as a collective group, without you in it, say, look what we did, mm-hmm. you can quietly on the sidelines say, there you go. That's leadership. That's hard to find nowadays.
Yes.
Very hard to find.
Everybody just wants to sit behind their desk in a cushy job and just be able to
get a click, get a like, get a what do you call it? A share, get a view, and all that stuff. Yeah. That's what everybody thinks so right now.
Yeah, because the unfortunate side of our economy is that it's very consumer based. So if you can get eyeballs, then a company can advertise to those eyeballs and sell more product and blah, 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 mm-hmm. blah. Yeah, it's exactly eyeballs, right? Right.
There's a challenge there. And I really feel maybe it's my age. Could be. I'm a little bit of an old dog this way, but I believe that a person ought to learn how to work.
For sure.
I think a person ought to learn how to experience negative customer service responses, meaning people coming to them complaining about customer service. I've never been a waiter or a bartender, but I was the busboy.
Yeah, there you go.
I was a busboy when I was 14. I had to ride the bus to be a busboy all the way across town. I literally had to do 2 buses just to get down there so I could make my $1.10 an hour plus tips,
Yes.
And you go in the kitchen, any restaurant, you see people working hard.
Yep.
And I mean, it's one of my triggers when I'm in a restaurant and I see somebody abusing any staff member. Mm-hmm. I don't care who you are, and typically it's the person who worked at a restaurant that feels a license to do it.
Oh God.
And that person's just the worst, I think, because you of all people should have empathy.
Should be the most understanding.
Right.
You do a thing around Christmas, right?
I do.
At a restaurant.
I do.
How did that start?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. Well, what I do, I am very blessed, and I believe that my blessings are real. I believe that part of the problem that most of our population, our human beingness, our humanness, people look at people with faith, and they go, "Oh." I get it. You got your little pocket monkey you put in your pocket, and then you say, I got it, so I have faith. It's all going to turn out wonderful and happy dance. No. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's about, no. Wherever you learn that from, go fire them. All right? I've just really felt that my faith is a verb.
Yeah.
It is an action word. And I literally, every day, experience a miracle. And people say, well, yeah, right. What? Why didn't you get the winning lottery ticket? Because that's not a miracle to me.
Yeah. To look at most lottery winners, it's usually a curse.
It's not a winner chicken dinner to me.
Yeah.
But what is a winner chicken dinner to me is if I can, with my personality and my overwhelming good looks, can attract can attract other people to my cause, and I can demonstrate to them faith in motion.
Yeah.
In motion.
Yeah, exactly.
In exact motion, the way I define it too. I explain to people before they come, I said, understand me, you will walk away visibly shaken by the miracle you're about to experience. Mm-hmm. If you do not believe in miracles, you come sit with me for a day and I will demonstrate that they do and they are here. Yeah. And that a person will say, I just received one. So what I do, and I hope everybody out there will join me. If you don't join me, join somebody else somewhere else, because it's never about me, and that's the number one rule. Yeah. You're not allowed to post any of this. I post on the Facebook and,
to get people out.
To have them come to me.
Once, but you don't document.
I don't allow photos. If I see one photo, you're going to get a phone call from me, and it's not going to be a good one, because that means it was all about bringing light to you, not what the miracle was truly about, you see? And this is where people don't understand what faith really, truly is, okay? And I mean this from an honest to good point of view. Mm-hmm. People label this in such a way that makes it binary. Yeah. You either are or you either do or you don't. You either believe in the sky fairy, or what do they call it, sky daddy, sky fairy, all those different words that I've heard a bunch of it. Yep. Or then these people believe the other side is devoutly, oh my God, they're just these people that just run around doing exorcisms on people and all that kind of shit. Yeah. Okay. I could pick both of you out in the room and let's say, okay, gotcha. Get away from me. You're both toxic. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. You're both very toxic. Just toxicity is not okay. Yes. Because when you bring that toxicity to someone else, you've given them toxic and you've made them feel toxic. Yes. All right. I don't care what kind of a person you are, whether you're this religious person. If I make you feel like I'm toxic to you, then that's not okay. Mm-hmm. And if you, I'm not saying you personally, but I mean, if a person who doesn't believe the way I do necessarily comes to me, and then you can see the imbalance. Exactly. So I just choose my faith to be a verb. Mm-hmm. I just want you to see it. Yes. Not feel like you don't have it if you don't look like me. So what I say is, bring $100. Bring a $100 bill with you, plus your own food money. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets a $100 bill. All right. We have breakfast at Denny's, and it's the Saturday before Christmas. Mm-hmm. So generally speaking, it's like the 23rd or the 24th. I believe that's how it always works out. Okay. So it is the day or so before Christmas. If you've ever been to a Denny's, or if you've ever worked at a Denny's, you recognize that you don't go to Denny's for the ambiance. You go to Denny's because it's extremely cheap breakfast. And if you work at Denny's, you realize that the people come there because it's an extremely cheap breakfast. Yes. And they don't tip. They probably get their 20%. I gave you 20%. Count it right there. See the pennies. Right? Yeah. But the person who works at Denny's is really, really having a struggling time. Yeah. And that's just one of those places that you are proud to work there. You're hardworking and you work there. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And when you work there because it's what you have to do, there are people that work there that have been there all their life, and that's what their fulfillment is. Good. And they see it when I walk in because now they know me.
So it's the same Denny's?
It's the same Denny's every year.
Okay.
Yeah, I've noticed that the staff shows up on Christmas Eve and Saturday before that. I've noticed it now, but it's okay because it gives opportunity. So what I do is last year it was a little short, but I think everybody was short money, and that was okay. But I have in the past, one year we had 15 people.
Whoa.
And the bill was, I don't know, maybe $100.
Yeah.
So maybe $100 bill, okay? And I always go in and I said, no, I only want one server, please. Just one. And we'll be real good. We won't take up a bunch of, we won't make it trouble for you, but we just want the one, please. And they give us one waitress or waiter, and we just sit together. And we know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's cool. So, that is a miracle, because last year, for example, we didn't have a lot of people show up, but this is a woman who worked 2 Denny's jobs. One was in Florence. The other one was down here in Gilbert.
What?
She had been in Florence that morning, drove all that way to work in a Gilbert Denny's, and that was her living.
Yeah.
How much gas is she burning now going back and forth to the 2 Denny's, for crying out loud? She's probably making a net of about $15 a day, for crying out loud, if you think about it. So the one year we gave $1,500. The year before that, it was almost $2,000. Wow. That one person just got instant. So I've always maintained, if you want to be a person that really lands on I don't believe in faith or anything like that, you can do that. Mm-hmm. But be a human being to others then.
Yeah. And
then you know what you're going to find? That you're a miracle.
That exact motion.
And then all of a sudden you're going to go, wait a minute. I don't understand. How does this happen? I'm looking every single day. Every morning and every evening I say the same simple prayer. And it isn't anything that is grandiose and, oh my God, and Christianese and all that. It's just, dear Lord, thank you. I rejoice. I just rejoice. Please let me be someone's miracle. And I rejoice for the miracle that I will see in you. And every single day, I may not win the lottery, but every day I can find you, or I can find her, or I can find them, and I can be their miracle.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be cash. It doesn't have to be anything. It could be just me sitting there and listening to that person that day.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And that, to me, is what faith is. And that is why I believe that I'm here for a purpose. And did I cause that purpose to happen for me to be here again? Did I cause it? I don't think I did.
Oh, did you have some good equity built up?
I don't know. I saw myself dead. I know that much.
So people would ask.
I saw myself dead.
You saw yourself dead. You saw yourself lying in the car, on the street.
I saw myself dead. I saw people doing what they were doing on me. Mm-hmm. And the crazy part of it was, I have the opportunity now to ask the question before anybody knows. Hey, Sean, I got a question for you. I saw papers on the floor, on the ground. Mm-hmm. I saw my flip-flop. There was a fire engine parked behind me. It was on, and I smelled diesel fuel, and I heard it. There was an ambulance pulled up to the side of my vehicle, and I even had the directions of the police officers found, because I witnessed it all.
Yeah.
So I told him what I had seen. And he says, oh, yeah, I've been talking, huh? Talking to Liban. I said, no. I'm telling you for the first time what I keep seeing in my own mind.
Yeah.
It's a recurring dream that I have.
So they're coming to you as you're recovering, as you're sleeping.
No, I'm dead in front of me on the ground. It's my foot moving.
Yeah, but the memories of that, because we did talk about how your last memory was the tailgate, and then the next one is your wife telling you the intubation.
Right.
How do you decipher?
It's a dream. I can't tell you anymore.
Yeah. So is it so now I'm going to, because I'm just trying to understand, right?
Yeah. I'm going to a neurologist in 2 weeks to try to understand what I've been going through. It's
definitely
crazy.
never trying to nitpick anything. I'm just trying.
I know.
In my mind, when you tell me that, is it hazy? Is it black and white? Is it just like this feeling that's rushing over your body?
Yeah, I can describe it undescribably. It's the only way I can do it. This is what has happened to me. during this whole process, the one thing that I needed most of all is I needed to know what happened to me actually.
Yeah, because you're a realist. You want to know.
I want to know exactly what happened. So I literally am looking at a police report.
How many
about
times
me.
have you read it?
It's nuts. Just reading this police report, it's actually pulled up on a scene of a dead dude, basically.
Yeah.
All right. And 13 minutes is so long.
Yeah.
Think of
3 minutes.
Think of Freebird.
The short version, right?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, my God, we used to make a joke. Oh, we could drink a 12-pack in Freebird, because it was such a long. That was so long. And the crazy part of this was, it wasn't during it, but it happened to me after this this dream. It's like a dream. First, I thought it was just a dream. I was like, okay, this is crazy. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it started coming back. Mm-hmm. And then I would have a nap, and there was the same exact thing. It would never change. Have you ever had a dream before and then have it come back, the same exact dream? It never came back. Yeah. But this one, right now, I'm going to shut my eyes and I will swear to God, it will, boom, it hits me. And it's like kind of like staring at the sun. You know how you get those imprints on your eyeballs? Yeah. That's how it feels.
Yeah.
It's a weird imprint in my brain. I can't get it out of my head. It is a crazy imprint. And I what's crazy is that if I go and I try to in detail examine it even further, I go into this dream and it is exactly what was happening to me. Mm-hmm. I cannot explain it other than that,
No, and there's no need for anybody else for you to try to explain that.
But it's crazy. What kind of consciousness is that?
Yeah.
I got to ask, what kind of consciousness is that? And so I got a call. Mm-hmm. I've been in several newspaper articles, and I was on the channel 15 News, whatever. So I got a call. Mm-hmm. At first it was Mayo Clinic, and I'm like, okay. So I answered, no, I don't need a home warranty or whatever. They go, I'm sorry, we're looking for Kevin Mohatt. I'm like, okay. Well, apparently somebody had forwarded one of these articles. Yeah. Because of the time frame I was down, they were interested to know if I had what's called an NDE, and I'm like, I thought. I'm like, what's that mean? They go a near-death experience. I'm like, oh. Yes. I'm like, okay, yeah, I got it. Yeah, I had one.
It wasn't near.
It was kind of far away.
I guess they say near just because you died, but you're not dead. You're back.
And the crazy part was I was attached to a pole in this vision that I have. I'm like third person, all right, looking down at myself. Uh-huh. No kidding. And I was thinking all this time, I'm nuts, man. I'm bona fide losing my because of for however long I was down, I don't know. And I'm starting to think I'm losing myself, right? Because this is just nothing's ever happened to me before. And this woman called and she started talking to me, and I said, okay. She goes, would you be interested in taking part in our survey? And I said, what survey? She goes, well, we have surveyed 70,000 people. Mm-hmm. It's the University of West Virginia, I think they're from. It's like over 70,000 people for over so many years. Yeah. And they only ask the same questions, so they don't divert away from, they just ask these questions. Yes. And they kind of stipple map it as to what the responses were, and there they go. First question was, do you have any proof that you were dead? I'm like, yeah.
How much do you need?
Yeah, well, yeah. I go, that was straightforward, but okay. Yeah, I have 3. And they said, okay, and who are they? And I said, well, I have a police report. I also have the fireman's report, and I have my cardiologist that said, yeah, you were gone, because he was there. He was in the emergency room. So he was there on the other line waiting for them to get me to him, Wow. So that whole team was all collaborating. It's okay. 13 minutes. Yep. And then she went on and she asked me more questions. And she asked if I experienced any sense of vision or any. I said, well, I saw myself dead. And she goes, okay. And that was a yes or no. All right. And then she asked if I was fearful during this dream. Okay. And I said, no. She goes, oh, were you happy? And I went, no. I'm neutral. Yeah. Like neutral. I'm not hearing angels, but I feel this encompassing feeling. So I'm kind of like neutral. I'm sort of ambient in a way. And she goes, okay. And one of the questions was, did I know anybody? Did I felt this weird sense of just kind of a close
familiarity.
Yeah, it's hard. It's very undescribable. It's a hard thing to describe. People say, did you feel the light at the end of the tunnel? No, but there was this weird sense of kind of a halo, a glow kind of thing. And it didn't have a shape, but then again, I could see shapes in it. It was just strange. And it's still the same dream. It's the same thing I have all the time. And so we went through the list of things, and they actually categorized me. And they said, you have what's called elevated, and I wish I could remember the third word, but elevated something recall. And they said that they have people they've spoken to up to 60 minutes that have been, like, for example, now not all of them were me in the street.
Yeah.
Some of them were on a table.
Yes.
Under ice, going through all these
they were
things.
having this memory or this experience for up to 60 minutes.
Yeah, and they were clinically completely gone, dead.
Whoa.
Completely clinically dead, where they pushed the button. You are dead. And so our bodies can function like, unfortunately, a young nephew, they kept him on these machines.
Right.
Even though there's nobody there,
Yes.
And so anyway, they have an ample amount of information, and that helped me. The only reason why I cared to, because it just helped me.
Yes.
It helped me go to understand what I feel like I'm
understanding. Yeah. That's the ultimate
yeah,
goal.
because it's so hard for everybody to grasp what I'm trying to tell them.
Yes.
I've every doctor, they get it because I completely know what you're saying, because they've had other people talk to them in the same manner.
Yeah.
But for me being down so long, it was crazy. It just crazy. And, I can't help it, but it's changed me.
Yeah.
It's totally changed me, man.
Not, man.
God is good. I'm telling you what.
So I guess at this point, for the memory that you're having now about this moment, is there like you get sucked back, or for now it kind of just shuts off, and then next thing you know, the lights are back on? Or is there
Here's what I'm going to do.
Whole
I got this weird thing going on, and I'm going to a neurologist. I requested it, and they said, I think we should do that, for a couple of reasons. I want to have a base level.
Okay.
Where my brain is at, actually, from this period of time. I want to know, okay, I'm real thankful for the compressions and all that, but I want to know if there's any base level of brain that I might have functioned. I've had a little bit of memory things, but I've also been through an awful lot.
Yes, of course.
I always tell people, if I forget how to play the guitar, put me away. That's bad, man. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to the neurologist, and I'm going to talk with him about it. And I would be interested to know if they can get a picture of this.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't it interest you to know that if I could, because it's in my head what I'm experiencing.
Oh, gotcha. Like
it is a vivid thing. It is nothing vague about it now. It is extremely vivid. So if I shut my eyes right now, if I go deep at it, I'm going to be bawling in front of you because it's so overwhelming.
For sure. And I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
It's crazy. So anyway, I'd be like.
So are they taking like an image of your brain under that thought, or
I don't know.
Are they able to essentially?
I don't know. That's what I'm curious about this. So I'll be talking to him about it. I'm not morbidly curious, but I'm excited curious because I know that you can imprint memories and things when you're doing scans on the brain. You can see things that light up and things that are not working. That's part of it, is to see, is that person's functioning in that area of the brain. I don't know much about neurology, but I did have a couple parents that had dementia, so I learned all about that part of it.
You had two parents that had dementia?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My real father, he passed away from dementia. My mom had Alzheimer's.
I do want to get into your mom's and that beautiful song you wrote.
Oh, thanks.
But I did also want to circle back to, you say you were adopted. So did you find your biological parents?
So what happened was my mother was with me. My stepfather adopted me and my brother and severed my biological father's rights. He just left.
Gotcha.
He just abandoned us.
Yes.
And think about it. I would have been 1968. Single woman with two kids.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of opportunity out there for her.
No.
And that's where we were, single mom, a couple kids, and some family, that would kind of help out, But my dad stepped in and he took it on, and he had 2 kids himself. His wife had just passed away from cancer, so he was a wreck.
Wow.
So we were the Brady Bunch in a big way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he adopted me. He took the responsibility, and he stepped up for that. And I never, and I've adopted my kids. Same way. It's kind of a crazy cycle thing, but both of my kids are adopted. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah. So and he passed away with dementia, but my biological father, he tried to find me. When I was 18, I actually saw him at 18. Here I was, 6'3", 220 pounds. I was a center in an ice hockey team, and I'm like, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, man.
And he's like, okay, you little short fat. And I was like, nah, it ain't happening. Yeah. So that was the last I ever heard from him. And I got somebody, I want to say his wife or daughter or somebody, found me on Facebook.
Yeah.
And wanted to know if I would rejoin the fold and all that. And I'm like, bye. So my dad was already demented, and I call him my dad, and so I buried him with full honors, Marine honors, fly over the whole bit. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But so that's the adoption route that I ended up taking. So, yeah. Now last name used to be Vinton.
Vinton, Vinton.
Yeah. So when you learned cursive writing back then, it was like between 2nd and 3rd grade. I didn't know which to write, Vinton or Mohatt. So they said, write Mohatt, Yeah, little things like that when you grow.
Well, didn't even know, because you're like, well, what is right? But also, like, how do you feel? Like, you really, like, what should you identify as at that point, right? Yeah, it's a battle.
It's a crazy thing. People don't realize, and this is one of the lessons that I try to teach, but I teach people the difference between impression and impact.
Mm-hmm. Having an impression on somebody versus this person, their presence really had an impact on me right now.
Yeah. Impression is, oh, jolly old fellow, or man, he inspired me to be a comedian. Mm-hmm. You see? Yeah. So where are we in life? That's where it is. And I've always maintained, don't just be impressive. Be an impactful person. Try to have impact.
I'm going to take that and run with it, Kev.
Because
I love it.
You really need to. It is about impact. I look at me being here. I'm alive, and I am not supposed to be. Mm-hmm. I didn't dodge a bullet. Like, oh, my God, I can't believe that guy didn't hit me in the head with that thing. Actually, I was dead. I was already gone, completely flatlined. My whole body shut down. Kidneys failed. Liver failed. Everything failed. Completely nothing. I'm a corpse. Being pressed on a lot. So I have to look at that honestly and truly say I'm a very unique man. I'm very unique. Yeah. I found out through, I reached out to a group because I was struggling, It was like, what happened here, man? What is this thing in my head, and what is going on? And I was going through all kinds of scary parts, Yeah. And I reached out, and a man who had his own cardiac arrest years ago, but he developed a foundation of people that have had sudden death. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize there's a lot of us. Most of them have it in a hospital or that kind of thing. But
because your odds are diminished. If that cop isn't in the neighborhood,
I'm a goner, man.
If the fire department, I know where that is. It's on the south side of Warner. Mm-hmm. There's green fields there, right. And a new build across the street. I'm very familiar with that area.
So go by the grace of God, because seriously, had I made it home, that was my full intention, was to go home.
I got to get home, and that feeling that I got to get
home. And
I'm
that guy. Get out of my way. Mm-hmm. Do not stop me from going home. Mm-hmm. I am going to go home. I was just going to go home. And somebody said, no, you ain't. And put me in the most likely spot to be saved.
Yeah.
Flat out, dead center of an intersection, 1,000 yards away from them. Police officers in every neighborhood, basically, in Gilbert.
Yeah, for sure.
Put me at the number one place you could possibly have a completely fatal widowmaker of 100%. You're dead. There's no other way you could get around that. than the fact that that's where I was. Coincidence, okay, fine, but I'll keep stacking up coincidence on a coincidence on a coincidence.
I don't question it.
Yeah, here's another one. What do you say to that? Oh, yeah. Geez.
Thank you. Can I have some more?
Right. So I don't push it on people, but I'm telling you, I'm here, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how you proved me, but I'm here. And this is one of those things that I've really recognized. One of the things that was interesting was that the lady that I talked to, after we got through this little question, I wanted to talk to her. I'm like, geez, what do you know about this and that and the other thing? Because my brain was just frying all the time. And the one thing that I asked her, I said, how many people have you met that are absolutely certain that they had seen like family members and things like that? I just want to know, because you hear that.
Yeah, of course.
And she says, we hear varieties of the same thing. Varieties of the same thing. And I'm like, interesting. Okay. So we as humans, we want definitive, don't we?
You do.
Okay. We want binary.
Yeah. I want to know what's the right thing to do. What's the wrong thing to do. I need to know.
Yes. But see, people miss the fact that our universe is not necessarily binary. Mm-hmm. We as humans, we measure things with binary. What I mean by binary is there is no such thing as cold.
Well, what's cold to me and what's cold to you? What can
but
you
there's
handle,
no
right?
There's no definition of cold, but lack of heat.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes.
But we call it cold because we want to be able to measure.
It's not darkness. It's lack of light.
That's exactly right.
Yes. Okay.
And that's what it is. It is just, it's a lack of it, but it isn't binary definitive on both sides. Okay. Mm-hmm. We can define darkness as complete lack of light, can't we?
Yeah.
How do you define light? Besides, there is no definition. See
it's
how
not
that
lack of darkness, because darkness is the baseline point.
Right. So we as humans only really try to logically connect things binary. Meaning you're either strong or weak. Well, what's that middle person? He's less weak or less strong. I don't know. But it's weak or strong.
Yeah.
So we as human beings have a hard time rectifying that, and I do too.
Yeah, naturally.
That's the hard part that I try to explain to people. They go, well, can you give it some definition? I go, it can't be defined, but it's so real to me, but there's no defining it. It's not binary. So that's where the human brain in itself, I believe, wrestles.
Yeah.
They wrestle with their own immortality.
For sure.
They wrestle with what human beings have told them.
Yeah. So when I think about people having like their near-death experiences and what they see, a part of me, because we're impressionable and we're trying to make sense of it, that we almost have an idea of what it's going to be, and it kind of plays out in our mind because it's already kind of imprinted. Oh, I see a loved one. Oh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Oh, there's this. Yeah. So I feel like, to a lot of people, you actually just kind of go through the motions. Oh, I read this chapter. I read this. I read about this. This is what I'm supposed to see. So your brain kind of manifests that. And maybe it brings you peace, right, in that sense.
It could. Yeah, although I can tell you that in my experience, there's no definition. There's no possible way that I can remotely even possibly have imagined what I still have in there, because I don't think I could have even thought it up.
Gotcha. Yes.
You know what I mean? So the predetermined thought, I could see how somebody with all their training and all that kind of stuff. I see that. But this it's so undefinable. It's hard for me to describe it other than the part, I'm looking at this in my head, the part to me that is definable is the physical interactions. I can define it. I did define it. So it's not like I could predetermine what was going to happen. I told them where the positions of I knew where it was.
Yeah.
It's just like the people say, I was in a hospital room. Well, they were looking at, and then they would go on to describe the machinery in the hospital.
Exactly.
There's a different animal.
Yes.
To say, oh yeah, I was in a hospital bed. But
yeah, because you didn't know where the ambulance was.
None of that.
Because they weren't even there.
Yeah, I was all confused about the paper.
You're like, what's that paper doing there?
I'm like, what's this paper shit? I mean, what is it? I mean, I knew it was me. At first, I didn't even know what in this dream. It hit me in ICU. I was in the intensive care unit, okay, at the hospital. I'm not kidding you. I freaking freaked out.
Yeah, because you're like, what's this dream I'm having? And it's like, oh, wait, that is me.
Me. Yeah. You know how I knew it was me? There was a flip-flop.
You have a birthmark, right?
No, it was a flip-flop. It was a flip-flop on the ground. And I'd come from the hockey rink.
Yeah.
All right? I'm in jeans, and I have my...
Quick question.
Hmm?
Could you make out your face then? 'Cause
No.
It took a while. So it's almost like blurry, fuzzy?
No,
or just...
my face wasn't... no, I didn't see my face. I saw my feet.
Wow.
I didn't see my face. I saw my feet, and the way I knew it was me was because of the flip-flop. There was only one flip-flop, because the other one's in my car. Because when I get in the car, I always take off one flip-flop, and I drive barefooted with that one.
Yeah.
Right? And the other one. So when they pulled me out, this flip-flop was still on my foot, and it was my left flip-flop.
Yeah.
Later on, I'm going, what is all this I'm doing, man? I'm like, oh, yeah, that's me. I'm doing all this like forensic, trying to identify what the heck I'm looking at. And so this happened to me the first time in ICU. Scared the crap out of me because I did not know what I was experiencing. I thought I was dying, actually.
Did you have like a freak out moment where like your elevated heartbeat? Like...
I don't think so.
No.
I wasn't upset or scared or worried or anything like that. I was just like, geez. I mean, when I was like awoke again, I really went, what in the wide
Gotcha.
world?
So you weren't having a physiological response where you're like, we're freaking out.
No, I was just going, what the heck was that?
Gotcha. Okay.
It was like a drive-by shooting, man. What the heck? And it went that quick. It wasn't a long time either.
Yeah.
It's a very short loop. It's not long. It's just a short loop, and then it's over. Crazy thing. So I knew it was me because I saw my flip-flop, but I was like, what are these paper? It was white paper.
Yeah.
And it looked like, and I didn't know what that was. So I said, Sean, I was like, and we were talking, and he's like, Kevin, tell me about it, And I said, okay. I said, what's this white paper? He just looked at me and he got teary-eyed and everything. He goes, what? I go, I see this white, like torn papers. What is that? He goes, that's me trying to put an IV in your bone marrow.
Oh shit.
I was dead. Okay. Yeah. So that means there are no veins working. When you're dead, your veins don't stay like that. They flatten out because it's like a bounce house.
You got no blood pressure to do. Yeah. There you go.
You got to keep it open, And if you don't, everything collapses. Everything. It's just like a bounce house. If you shut that, it just that was me for 13 minutes. Okay.
Deflated.
Yeah. Well, when they got to me, they had done all these compressions, and now they're trying to paddle me. They did 3 paddles, and when they got there, prior to doing the paddles, they're trying to get an IV in me. All right. Well, they can't because I'm dead. So they drill it. Apparently, my son told me this because that was going to hurt for a while. But they drill it right straight down into your bone, where the bone marrow is at, because that's part of your circulating system.
Yeah.
So they drilled into my bone marrow. Final effort, final answer is drill into his bone, and that's what those papers were. I'm sorry,
So
but
at that point, it's like, how do you know about them, right?
How do I know about these papers?
Shoot, man.
I don't know. What can I say to that? Right? That's just kind of big. So
it's 1:15, Kevin.
I got all day long, but
okay, no, good, because I see kind of them walking around.
No, they're letting out over there, though.
Okay, perfect.
So how about that? What can I say? I don't know. I've had a lot of conversations with folks that go,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. You answer it and tell me what you got, and I'll listen.
Embrace the mystery. Try to find it for your own understanding, but just embrace that. Maybe some things aren't meant to be defined. And maybe you can take meaning from that, because not being able to define something doesn't mean that you can't find meaning in that. Crazy enough, it got defined for me. Mm-hmm. How so? All right. Took a sip for that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't understand these things, so I'm not a scholar.
I assure you, I'm not that. I've lived a long time in a very short amount.
Yeah.
And so I was having some pretty serious question marks, like what in the heck was that? And where is this thing going? I mean, it was just a big tizzy, and I had been warned that I might feel this way. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to just tackle it. You know, it's like I did with PTSD. I just tackled it, you know, sold a bunch of fire. We're dealing with it.
Yeah.
And so I called up one of my very old close friends. He's a pastor, but he's also a musician that I played with in a band with for almost 10 years, you know. And we were very close, but he's very knowledgeable. And he's also a pastor. He's been doing it for 40 years, and he's seen a lot of people come and go. And so,
for sure,
you know, I called him up and I said, you know, he found out about it. He actually texted me and said, okay, man, you know, so I'm alive, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah. And so we talked on the phone. This is like a Monday, and I wanted to get with him anyway, but it was like on a Monday. And he says, how are you? And I broke down, you know. I was just having this image in my brain. It was just this image that I was thinking I was going, man, you know, because it was really frustrating me. And pretty frustrating. I got to give it that. So he goes, well, describe it. And I said, I can't describe it. It's undescribable. He goes, does it have shape? I said, no, it doesn't have shape, but I see shape. Is it bright? I go, no, it's not bright, but it's just hard to look into. Mm-hmm. He said, do you see people? I go, no, but I feel people. Mm-hmm. Can you name them? No. Are they
feel familiar?
Yeah. I said, it's just like all this vagary, you know?
Yeah.
It's what it felt like. I'm like, it's just all this vagary, but it was brilliant. It's still brilliant. It's like a supernova at one end, but it's like this really warm, fluffy marshmallow at the other. I mean, it's just a crazy feeling I'm having. He goes, oh, okay. Want to get together? I said, sure. We get together, and we meet down here in Chandler, and we don't say anything. He goes, oh, and he slides it right at me. You'd have to read it if you want to know what I know, but it was Matthew 17. It's called the Transfiguration. It was right after, in the Bible, where Christians believe, and I do, that Jesus was raised from the dead and actually appeared in front of the disciples. They were frightened. Mm-hmm. And in Matthew 17, it describes their frightened nature.
Yeah.
It was my frightened nature that it was describing.
Yeah.
They weren't fearful, but they were...
Yeah.
And everything about it was completely, it wasn't this and it wasn't that, but it was this. And as I was going through this, I'm like, I'm reading this. It completely defined what I thought I was seeing. Didn't answer what I thought I was seeing, but it defined it. Mm-hmm. Can't say why.
Yeah.
But it defined what I already knew. And so I had set about as a logical thinker. I'm a rational person. I can shoot a rifle very, very far away. And I don't make up numbers. I just go, no, these are the real numbers. This is the real number we use.
Yeah.
That's just my brain. So as much as I have faith, I also am a questioning critical thinker.
Yeah, as you should be.
As I am.
Yeah.
A very critical thinker. And I don't just throw tizzy, and then all of a sudden I have somebody explaining to me without any other intercourse that what I specifically was feeling and seeing had already been written about thousands of years ago by somebody that I never met.
Yeah. And
how do I define that? I don't know.
And exactly like what you were.
Yeah. So a binary thinker would try to find the plus and the minus of that. A binary thinker would look for the plus 1 minus 2 equals, oh, that's a -1 number. See, this is the problem with binary thinking in general. I've never been that way, but I've always been a critical thinker. Because I'm very suspicious by my extreme nature. I'm a very suspicious person. And so it's a confusing thing for me sometimes too.
Yeah. I think that's a good baseline to be, to start it off, but knowing that, you know, it's not just that you're going to be contrarian all the time or anything like that. No. But it's like, hey, let's take a step back real quick. Okay, cool. Now let's proceed. Right.
And I think that if we all did that more, For crying out loud, we would see, okay, stop getting information from bad sources, number one. Mm-hmm. I think that's a big part of a lot of people's confusion in life. I don't care if it's about religion or about politics or about health or anything else. People just don't have the accurate information. What is accurate? What is made up?
What's kind of hard when some people are just trying to find information that they already agree with anyways.
Precisely.
So that's what makes it hard.
That's exactly right. This is my number one pet peeve with religious people in general. Okay, and I call them religious people because I'm not. I'm on my own. I'm walking my life.
Yeah.
It's my journey, man. It's just my walk.
Yeah.
Do it if you want. Okay, follow me if you want. It's your deal, though. It's my view is if you look at me and I walk out of here and you go, that dude's pretty cool. Man, that dude's heart's in the right place. And whatever he says, it's real to him.
Then you've pushed one more person towards...
I don't know. I think it's life is a vortex anyway. I think we tend to get in wind tunnels and we go that way. I prefer to be a leader, and I prefer to be a better example of a human being.
Yeah.
If I can. I'm not always that person, but I think that is a powerful thing. And also, I feel some clarity
from
being dead, man.
Yeah. Well, it's almost
I feel
like
real clarity.
Is it in the sense of like, well, I already experienced it, so what's up? Like, I'm not.
Hey, you know what? That's a real feeling I had.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
I was already dead.
Yeah. Been there.
My book is 13 minutes. That's the name of it.
Nice.
13 minutes this side of heaven. Because I'm telling you, I was there. I sat there. I know I was there. And now I'm here. Now I'm here. Which would I have rather been? If I was truly the Christian that people think I am, if I was truly that religious person that I was seeking out, the greater high, what the sky fairy says it is, right?
Yeah.
Would I rather be there or here, talking to you in downtown Chandler with a bunch of homeless people walking around and my bills are due and the gas is $6 an hour, $1, whatever it is, and all this crap coming down the road? Most people would say, damn, man, it was peaceful where I was.
Or could you be home, Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. As you were trying to get home.
Okay. So here I am. Incredible amount of twisted thought that goes into that. This twisted thought. Because what it caused me to do is to recalculate and be clear on what's important and what's not. Mm-hmm. Recalculate clearly. It was a complete
almost like a minimalist, right? Would come back and be like,
don't need it. Don't need it. Don't need it. Need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Intense amount of clarity. That was really bothering me at first too. And then I read up on it, and then I started to research, and I talked to a psychiatrist and psychologist who has dealt specifically with people that are like me. I have found out that I'm 0.0. Let's say there's 5 zeros. 5 zeros and a 1% of the people who have had a cardiac arrest.
Hey, man.
I'm like, well, that's why they've never met me before.
Yeah.
I have freaked out more doctors when I walk in and they look at me and they're going, really?
Yeah, really? Like poking you, like pulling on your ears. Is this guy real?
I know. My first doctor I had to go to was a primary care guy, right? So my heart rate at the time was really like 35 or 36. It was low because they had me on this medicine and I was probably low anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in his office and they did an EKG on me and he comes walking in and he's all quiet and everything. And I'm all, hey, doc, how's it going? And he's like, doing well, thank you. And how are you? And I'm like,
he's
doing
treading
great.
Lightly.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm doing great. How's your life, man? You good? And I'm being all hyper and stuff. And he's like, I'm doing well. I says, what do you know? He goes, well, what I know is I'm looking at a person that I'm a little concerned about. And I said, what are you concerned about, doc? And he says, well, I go, the fact that I had a widowmaker and I was dead 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And he goes, that would explain the bradycardia that you're currently experiencing. Okay, let's talk about that. He literally had the lady outside getting ready to call the ambulance because he's like, what?
Yeah. Dang.
He thought it was. So I later got to know him. I said, "So have you ever met me before?" And he goes, "Nope."
So for you to be able to sit here and laugh about it,
I'm cracking the
joke, and kind of like have fun and seeing these doctors kind of
It's
squirm
hilarious.
a little bit.
They
right?
squirm, man. They're like,
Hey.
"Dude, what are you doing here, man?" I go, "You haven't met me before, have you?" And they're like,
Because they're trying to make sense of
They
it.
can't. They can't. So I'm like, okay, do your best.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with you doing your best. Try to make sense of what I got in my brain. And if you can't, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, man, it's in my head. And it is there to stay. I think it's just the craziest feeling.
What's your timeline on the book that you're hoping for? I mean,
Well, I've been advised. First off, the man I spoke with, he was worried about me.
Yeah.
You know, he was worried about me. One of the crazy feelings, I shared it with you, and I'm well past it, obviously, but in one of the initial things that happened, he said, wait, because what I'm experiencing is very real, but not too many people can share it. Mm-hmm. Because I'm here to share it.
Gotcha. Yes,
Okay. Yes. I mean, that's one of the specialties, the specialness, I guess if you call it, of this book that I want to write. You know, I don't want to write about Kevin Mohatt. I really don't. I'm boring, you know.
Come on.
I could pontificate about myself all day long and I'd be the only guy to read it. So, okay, I'm not going to spend my time writing what I already know. But what I would like to do is I would like to, and it's, in its initial glow, I guess, but I'm a writer, so I've written and I've been published and things like that. So what I want to do is I want to somehow or another encompass what you've never experienced.
Yeah, exactly.
And what your curiosity is about my experience, mm-hmm. and then the discourse that we're having about it.
Yeah,
because you may or may not have faith in what I believe, and therefore I act on it, meaning it's my verb, mm-hmm, right? Mm-hmm. So that's my belief system. It is my verb that I live by in my world, and it isn't about anything but just trying to be a better person to you or to that person, and I fail all the time. But to me, there is a bigger calling here, because I've experienced something that is so unique that has given me such a clarity on priority, who's important, who ain't important, what they look like when they're not important.
Gotcha.
You know, what a person looks like, how they are. And you can just see it because, you know, I'm coming from a point of view that, you know, I had to really, my wife and I had the conversation of, honey, instead of us having a little tiss or a little, maybe a disagreement, or at the time it was a fairly flamed argument because my emotions were just all over the board.
Yeah.
All over the board. And, you know, but what calmed me down and hopefully brings everybody back is that, you know, we could have been preparing my funeral too.
Yeah.
And my worry for her is, what would you have done? We weren't ready for me to be gone yet. You know,
because we
weren't ready.
You've had a significant amount of time, maybe preparing for the other way around,
right? But nobody prepared anybody for sudden death on Higley and Warner Road, and the absolute punch in the face that would have been, mm-hmm. right? So that priority of empathy to really recognize, geez, take it easy on her, you know. Yeah. She's going through it herself. Yeah. Meaning my wife is amazing woman. She's fought breast cancer. She's just an amazing person on this. She's my rock, you know. But at the same time, I had to say, I'd have left her completely alone. She'd be alone and sad and all that. So that clarity.
Did you have like a sense of like maybe invincibility? As you know, here you are.
Yes, I do.
60, playing hockey with guys half your age.
Before my Widowmaker?
Yeah. Did you have a sense of like, you don't have to worry, man. I'm good. I train special forces. I'm very healthy.
I've never really felt that confident about my health. Yes, she and I are very, very involved in our diet and You might have seen some of the things that I cook, but we're very focused on good, healthy eating. We have this 2/3 rule that we have. It's a great rule. If you're trying to lose weight, it's perfect.
Well, share it. What is it?
We do a 2/3 rule.
Okay.
And there's other things that we watch. Like I don't do sugar anymore. At least if I do, it's my addiction.
Yeah.
And salt, we don't do any salt at all.
Gotcha.
We don't add any salt because that's very bad for your coronary health. But anyway, 2/3 for us is we do 1/3 of any kind of protein we want. I don't care what it is, whether it's a hamburger, I don't know if it's juicy, whatever. Just 1/3 of any protein, and then 2/3 of anything green or colored.
Gotcha.
It has to have color in it.
Yeah, orange, red.
Yeah, nothing white.
Yeah. White or tan or
Okay, so that protein with the vegetables, and it's amazing how our palate has changed. It used to be I was heavy into pasta, heavy into real spicy food.
Well, also the salt allows the food to be like a little bit more not satiating, but it your body wants more of it.
One of the things I learned about salt is that it triggers your saliva glands.
You want more.
Yeah, saliva glands are activated, so that's what happens when your body says, "Hey, I'm about to eat."
Yeah.
So your mind tells you to start salivating because here comes the good stuff. You know, you throw a French fry in there, man, it's like happy. You know,
God, yes.
So I've been real conscious of that. I quit drinking, and I quit cold turkey drinking.
We talked about that.
Yeah, absolutely cold turkey. I was putting 30 beers away a day. Yeah, a day. I had such a hard time after my retirement. I was just suffering with PTSD in the worst way. And it was a battle I just never really could feel victorious against.
Was that from your time down in the Americas?
No, really what happened to me was here local. I trained at the Chandler Police Department as a defensive tactics instructor down there for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And as a member of the community, I offered my services and they accepted.
Gotcha.
I had special skills and they realized it eventually. And I'm like, guys, they started off coming to me and then they realized, dang, man, let's just get this guy on board. So, they welcomed me into the department and that's how I trained them. I ended up with MCSO, DPS. I worked for the Joint Counter Narcotics Task Force for quite a long time. And yeah, you once you go that direction and it got ugly, quite frankly, when you leave a karate school and you hit the real world where violence is potential, it's kind of a weird transition, but in reality, it is what I was after anyway. Was the discipline of my school with the power of my ability
to really not really affect the community, because you were still affecting the community because people were coming to you for service to become more self-sufficient. But now you're empowering the forces that are tasked with.
Yeah, and one of my reasons for teaching the law enforcement was not so that I could make them better fighters, was so that I could teach them how it's not necessary to fight.
Escalate, yeah, because if you're
fight
scared for your life, you're going to
fight hard.
It.
Yeah,
no, you're going to escalate it. Yeah. That's a big issue.
Yeah, total issue
with people in general. But if you feel like you're in danger, you're gonna react in a very dangerous way.
Yes, you will.
Whereas if you're trained to remain calm and you have all your wits about you, because here I've been training with Kevin and I know how to handle myself. Then you're confident enough to try and de-escalate.
Yeah, I brought a very special skill to the law enforcement. It was called PPCT, Pressure Points Control Tactics. It was the fingertips.
Yeah,
this is the fingertips. All over your body. In this system, there were 13 that we used because they had done enough research on them. They realized that they were safe on the human body for me to strike, touch, or tap.
Yeah.
And it left very little, if any, evidence of a physical altercation. But at the same time, there was enough control put on the person to where they didn't hurt the officer, and the officer didn't have to hurt them to feel safe. And it really helped. And one of the reasons was that Chandler, at the time, years ago, had a class action lawsuit against the police department for profiling. They were racially profiling people and Hispanic community predominantly. And so they had to learn a lesson, and they changed the department structure, and they eventually changed some of the leadership as well. They had a little bit of that good old boy leadership, and now it's a fine department, and they turned into a fine department. But in the process, I trained their special teams, and one of my close friends, Jim Schneidiger, he was killed the afternoon that I trained him in the morning, a very close friend of mine. And I ended up training both of his kids. And now Rupert, he's a Chandler police officer. So they make, nobody wants a ballpark named after you for the wrong reason. Anyway, he got whacked and he was killed. And it was a bad day to see your friend's brains on the wall. Yeah, tough day, and I've been through that several times. And that kind of reality, it's better just kept off to the edge, and it's there, but that's a tough thing, and most people don't recognize that because they haven't been through it, but it has allowed me empathy.
Yeah.
It's taught me empathy because I believe that if you've been through hell, and that was a hell, and I've been through hell a couple of times, and I can recognize your hell. And that's important,
That's huge.
It's a huge thing to recognize your hell. And I reach out to people all the time. I'm doing it right now with somebody that's a very important person. He's struggling immensely with addiction. And I just, one of the things that I have to say is that I see this light on people. It's not a true light, but I see a glow. And it's in their person. It's something about you. All right. And I just saw this person hurting, a musician, but he was hurting, and he's going to continue to hurt.
Yeah.
He's going to keep hurting, and he needs to know that. It don't go away.
Yeah, yeah.
It just doesn't stop hurting. But what we do is we learn where the hurt comes from. And that makes a difference. The hurt doesn't go away. But if I understand where the hurt is coming from, I can recognize it. So I had to recognize my own PTSD.
Yeah.
And why I wasn't really mad at my son or my wife or those people or Mexicans or the people that drive the cars with the chains and all that, and why I didn't want to go shoot them all for killing my friend, and why I didn't want to go put my, those are the feelings that you have, and very real feelings. And you killed my friend, man. I want to kill you back, and I want to do it really good. Those are the bad feelings that come up. And so when a person's, I see those pains in them. I just see that. And to me, that's my faith. That's the verb.
The verb, yeah.
That's the verb. And so when people are confused about that, I go, I don't know, what's your verb? All I ask is, what's your verb? And if your verb is to go out there and change humanity and to be that person that you've always wanted somebody to be to you, you're doing it, man.
Yeah.
Right? You're doing it. But this is my verb. This is how I want to be. Because I recognize that pain is intense, man. It's a painful thing. How do you say to your wife, how do you say to somebody's, your best friend's wife, I'm sorry, I was with him this morning. What do I do with that? How do you do with that? How do you console somebody who's lost their son to fentanyl? How do you do it? What can you possibly say to that person?
Sometimes you can't. It's just your presence and you being able to be there for
right.
them. My good friend Tom Arbaugh, he's a chaplain here in Gilbert and Chandler, and he's a professor in religion and all that, and it's a classic story. Me and him go back and forth, just having great conversations, and he was telling me, this couple lost their young kid, unexpected, like less than a year and a half.
Why'd God do that?
Yeah. So he comes in and, he's like, hey, I'm the chaplain. Like, let me know if you need my services. And the guy was just sitting there. The dad is just face in his hands, just crying, bawling, And so he kind of like sits down next to him and, he's like, I'm here if you need me. And the guy looks up and he just goes, why? Why would this happen? And here he is, studied, read scriptures, teaches class on all that. He's like, I could have literally just gone and be like, well, quote this Bible verse, quote this, quote that. And he looks at the guy, he goes, I don't know.
Don't know.
And they just sat there and cried.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's it, man.
That's all you can do. That's why I say that to people. I say, what's your why? That's all I got. What is your why? What is it? What's your verb? What is that verb? And I encourage anybody, no matter what it is, I think when a person questions what their verb is, you know what happens to them? They find God.
Yeah, they try. They have to.
Because it goes beyond you.
If you're looking at it as a noun, and what I think most people do.
It's a little pocket monkey, man.
Here's my badge.
Yeah, you got the plastic Jesus up on the dashboard. There's a song about plastic Jesus on the dashboard, right? This is the whole process. That people are so into that physicalness of what they think a religion looks like. Why? Because we can only do things binary.
Yeah.
We can only put Jesus had to have been a blonde guy with blue eyes, and he had to be wearing white all the time. Do you think that's the case? No. I think he was probably a black man, and he probably walked around looking like a homeless dude most of the time.
Yeah, by the stories, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So who came up with the blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy? They had to have a binary thing.
You had to sell it to the pagans and all that.
You got to have a vision of something. And I'm saying to you, if you seek out what your verb is, you'll find where God is at.
You'll find that.
Because it is bigger than us. Mm-hmm. And when we find gratitude, when I'm truly, truly, truly grateful. Now I can be abundant. All right, I cannot be abundant until I'm grateful.
Until you are, yeah.
Great.
That's very true.
So what do you do to the other person when they, and this is hear me, this is probably the kingpin of what my conversation with you today is gratitude. Okay? It's just recently, I met this young man, DeMonte. I'll never forget him. I was on my way to go to the studio. Mm-hmm. And here I got $3,000 worth of equipment in my car. I got a car. I got me, and all the things I'm going to do today are very, very cool and wonderful.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's going to bring you joy.
It's going to bring me a ton of joy. And I'm also excited because I see myself able to do it again. And here just a while ago, I was worried I wasn't going to be able to play anymore. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm in joyous mode. And I got to eat something because I know it's going to be more than 3 hours. So I got to eat something. So I go into the Circle K. And on my way past, there's like this Mexican fast food. Well, how do I explain it? It's almost like a food taco truck at the Circle K. It's right next door. It's on Higley Road. Yeah, Higley in like baseline there. Anyway.
Okay.
Here's DeMonte. He's 17. Black young boy, black youth. And he looked like he just had a hell of a night. Mm-hmm. A hell of a night. And I don't know what happened to DeMonte, but it didn't look so good. And he was sitting right next to this taco shack, hoping that somebody was going to give him a taco. I'm sure of it. All right. Again, it's this light thing. All of a sudden I was like, wow, it wasn't like he had a light on him, but it was like instantly I just drew to him.
Boom. Like as if he had a spotlight on him.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. It's my verb. I'm looking for it. It just shows up. If you're looking for it, it will show up. I assure you. If you look to be somebody's miracle today, you will be somebody's miracle today.
Yeah.
And then what happens is they are grateful. And then when they're grateful, you know what happens to them?
They got to pay it forward.
They can feel happy, and they can feel joy, and they can feel growth. They feel important. When they feel gratitude, they feel like somebody cared.
Yeah.
They felt like somebody cared. I couldn't help him to where he needed to be. So I walked in, I walked out, and I said, I don't know your name. And he says, I'm DeMonte. See, I remember their name. Mm-hmm. I just remember their names. Okay. I said, DeMonte, I don't have much to give you, but I bought the 2 for $5 ham cheese sandwiches, and I gave him all the cash in my wallet, and I said, I want you to eat today. And I said, this isn't a lot of money, but I know you're not going to go buy any beer or anything like that. I said, what's the matter? What's going on in your life? Tell me. I want to know. And he says, my dad just kicked me out and I got to go. I said, where'd he kick you out of? He says, well, I came here to see my dad and he didn't want to see me, so he kicked me out of the house and I have to go back to California. Wow. So he had come from California. because he thought maybe his dad would want to see him. I don't know the story. Mm-hmm. His dad didn't want to see him, or for whatever reason kicked him out of the house. And here Dante is now homeless, and he got to find a way back to California, supposedly. I don't know what his story is. Yeah. And I'm not here to size it up or to do any of that. I'm just here, dude. I want to know that you're loved right now. Somebody today will remember you, and I'm thinking of you. So here's some of my God to you. What's the matter with that? There's nothing the matter with that. Oh, goddamn thing. Do you think that person's thinking, man, I just felt a miracle today? Right?
Yeah, because you even took the time to
listen. To listen. So the people at Denny's, when I do that, it's not because I'm doing something flashy and I think it's a gig. I truly, truly, truly believe in my heart. When I pray every morning, I say, Lord, please show me the person that needs to be me. Bring it in front of me so I can look closer and find that person easier. Just help me find the person, and I will be their miracle if I can. Yeah. So help guide me to that. I don't do anything else. I don't go to the ATM or none of that. I don't do anything. I just say, please put it in front of me. And every day I find it. Yeah. Right? Every day I find it. And never see him again. I never see those people ever again. They're just out of my life. But at one point, was it an impression?
Or was it an impactful moment?
Was it an impact?
Yeah.
You see? So the Denny's thing. I hand somebody $1,500. I say, you've been blessed, is what I tell them. Yeah. You've been blessed. This is a predetermined miracle happening here, folks. Mm-hmm. Predetermined. They don't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
So out of nowhere. Was it coincidental? They happened to show up that day? Don't know. But I'll guarantee you they had a need, and they had something that was specific that I answered their prayer for. Mm-hmm. Not that I want to have good grace with God or anything else of brownie points, but the fact of the matter is I asked that morning, please show me the person that wants a miracle today, that needs it today. Yeah. This is a person I said impact. I can hand them an extra $50. Okay, great. I go buy a toy for Christmas. But if I hand them $1,500, they just made rent.
Exactly.
They just paid car payment. They just bought baby formula or their diabetes medicine or whatever.
Whatever, yeah.
That's impact. That's big. So, I have my feelings about the other people out there that won't open up their big, glorious church to people during the flood. Those people, I'm going to tell you something. Yeah. They weren't in my little orb. Those people are not going to be in that vision. That's what Matthew 17 read, by the way. What I was experiencing were our family. That's what Matthew 17 is. In the transformation, it describes how what we are welcomed into heaven is by our family and the people that have gone before us, that have loved us, that are there, that they welcome us. And it's that love that you're feeling. It's this weird sense of, I don't know, but and that's what I felt, and I just feel like all those people we have impact on. My young nephew, he's whole. I believe it. Yeah. I believe he's whole. What a sad thing. What a sad thing. He almost had to go. He almost had to go for my wife's sister to move on because he was so damaged that she was stuck. Yeah, yeah. She's still stuck. And I love her. But she's been beat up by this young man who she desperately loves and misses. Mm-hmm. Desperately misses him. What a terrible time. I feel terrible for her. She's just broken. And there's no way other to be than broken. If I lost my son for any reason, or my daughter, or my grandsons, or my wife, you feel that broken sense. Mm-hmm. And I pray, that she finds the peace that, somewhere down the road it's going to be okay. It's a tough time. It really is. So I just look for that. That's kind of my personality. Now the days of, God, I hurt a lot of people. Man, I hurt a lot of people. Yeah. Physically, probably emotionally as well. I tread a lot of people, And those things are behind me. And I'm sorry for that. And I hope I'll make my atonement for that.
Yeah.
But
Do you feel at peace with those, or is there still some work to be done?
I have work to be done.
Yeah.
I think everybody has work to be done. What is the work to be done? What is it? Look for it. Can it be found? I don't know. Yeah. Now I've given you on occasion some quotes that I like to read from, and I think you might have even.
I got the book. Yeah.
The Tao.
Yeah.
The Tao Te Ching is an amazing book of order.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I call it.
Yeah.
It's a book of order because it creates order and disorder. It creates rhythm in sinus. It creates a sinus rhythm in chaos. So it teaches us that the world has its balances,
ebb and flows,
and it has its imbalances.
Yeah.
And when we're on the imbalance, it's obvious why. When we're on the balance, it's clear. And so there's that forever balancing. And as one time spoken to me by one of the masters, what is balance? What is your balance? What is it? Describe it. What does it mean? It's equilibrium, isn't it? It's the body telling itself that we're equally present in our stance or, on our bicycle or whatever. But what is balance in our life? We're just equally present. And to be equally present is not just, to be there financially present. It's your life is
all encompassing.
Encompassing. So what is balance? And that's kind of what I look for, and that's what the Tao really addresses is balance. The best leaders lead from the rear. The leadership is a sheep's butt is straight out of the Tao because it is that. It's the best leaders never say I did it. The best leaders are walking in sheep poop.
And they say, come with me, right?
Yeah, saying you did it. Mm-hmm. And those are leadership principles. But anyway, crazy.
Well, I don't know how the intro video or the time lapse is going to look because the phone, I'm actually now scared right now to see if there's the full videos out there. But I do want to put the intro into a time lapse and a loop to the beautiful song you wrote for your mom.
Oh, for my mom.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a cool song.
Yeah, I want people to find it. So it's everywhere, right?
I'm on everything. Spotify, iTunes, Apple.
Kevin Mohatt.
Yeah, Kevin Mohatt with 2 T's. Yeah, that's all you got to do. Yeah. And the next one coming is, I can't wait for it. It's just going to be it's serendipity at its finest because I die on the 14th, right? Yeah. Well, on the 18th, we were in studio, already booked, players and all. Whoa. Ready to go. And this song is called "It's About Time."
Oh man!
Some people think the time is money. It's not. It is not money. I promise you, because you only have so much of it. And will you spend some on me?
That's beautiful because you did mention that the song's about time, and I've been. That's kind of like what hits the most right now. My kids are so young, in my mid-30s. And
then you'll love my song.
Time is a motherfucker right now, and I went to go watch the new Buzz Lightyear movie.
Yeah, how was that?
It was really good. I really enjoyed it, and the part just hit me. Where it's like, spoiler alert, he has to traverse near a star and break light speed, essentially, or hit light speed. Hyperspeed or whatever they're calling it. Well, he keeps failing, but every time he goes, it's like a 4 or 5 minute mission. Well, he's warping time. So he comes back, it's been 5 years.
Right.
So he goes on a multitude of missions, watches his best friend and Ranger becomes his boss, age, gets married, has kids, has grandchildren.
Right.
And then next thing you know, here's a video because she's gone. And, he's battling that, he's maybe aged like 2 months, but here it is, this woman had a long life, 70, 80 years, and that part just kind of hit me. And the rest of the movie is really good. It's all about time and what you do with it and what it means to you, right? It was really good.
Here's one of the things that what was in my mind when I wrote these lyrics, all right? And one of the lyrics in there is that we look at life upside down as though we're still a child. because we see ourselves as a child still.
For sure. Yeah.
We still see ourselves as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And I go on to write on there that, it's roller skating as a little kid, holding the hand for the first time as a little kid. We still see ourselves in that juvenile, very young age. But as we grow, that time is gone, okay? Mm-hmm. And as we go away from our childhood and we go away from, people say, oh, my childhood sucks. You know what? Everybody with a bad childhood can find something about their childhood that didn't suck.
Yeah.
I challenge everybody. When they say I had a shitty childhood, I said, well, let's talk about that. So tell me about the one thing about your childhood that absolutely sticks out as the brightest moment of your life. My grandma. Oh, then you had a great childhood. You knew your grandmother. Wonderful. Tell me about your grandma. Yeah. And then I'll sit and I'll ask them about their
and you watch them light up.
They'll light up like a Christmas tree. Mm-hmm. So, so you had a wonderful childhood. You just had bad things that sprinkled about it. Well, yeah. Okay. Here we are. Right? So I look at this time, and what the ironic part of this song is that the last verse is, you reach in your pocket looking for money. Did you find any more time there? Mm-hmm. You're all out of change and the time is gone. Didn't have any to spare. And the wasting of time, the wasting of energy on just things that just don't register.
Yeah.
The fact that you're spending any time on it at all,
yes,
is an indication that you need to get right, because that in itself is one of the clearest things that I've pulled out of this whole experience of mine is time. I assure you, 13 minutes of time.
Kevin, I'm looking forward to all that. Thank you for setting aside time for me.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it.
All right, man. I love you.
I love you too, brother.
All right. Oh, I'm slow now getting up.